Welcome to our exploration of the trolley problem, one of the most famous and thought-provoking ethical dilemmas in philosophy. Originating from the work of British philosopher Philippa Foot in the 1960s, the trolley problem presents a scenario where a runaway trolley is headed towards 5 people tied to the tracks. You have the power to divert the trolley onto another track, where only one person is tied. This moral dilemma forces us to confront challenging questions about ethics, morality, and the value of human life. In this video, we will delve into the origins of the trolley problem, analyze its various formulations, and explore the key ethical theories that attempt to resolve it. Whether you're a student of philosophy, a fan of moral puzzles, or just curious about ethical decision-making, join us as we navigate the complexities of the trolley problem and its implications for moral philosophy. 1. What is the trolley problem? The trolley problem is a hypothetical ethical dilemma used to explore moral principles and decision-making. The basic scenario involves a runaway trolley heading towards 5 people tied to a track. You, the observer, have the ability to pull a lever to divert the trolley onto another track where only one person is tied. The dilemma forces you to choose between actively causing one person's death or passively allowing 5 people to die. This thought experiment raises fundamental questions about morality, the value of human life, and the ethics of action versus inaction. It is widely used in discussions of utilitarianism, deontology, and virtue ethics to illustrate the complexities of moral reasoning. 2. Historical background and origins. The trolley problem was first introduced by Philippa Foot in her 1967 paper, The Problem of Abortion and the Doctrine of the Double Effect. Foot used the scenario to illustrate the ethical concept of the doctrine of double effect, which distinguishes between the moral permissibility of actions that have both good and bad effects. The trolley problem was later expanded and popularized by philosopher Judith Jarvis Thomson, who introduced variations to further explore moral intuitions and ethical theories. Thomson's most famous variation, known as the fat man scenario, asks whether it is morally permissible to push a large person off a bridge to stop the trolley and save 5 people. This version intensifies the moral conflict by requiring direct physical intervention. The trolley problem and its variations have since become central topics in moral philosophy, sparking debates among philosophers, ethicists, and cognitive scientists about the nature of moral judgments and ethical decision-making. 3. Ethical theories and the trolley problem. The trolley problem is a valuable tool for examining various ethical theories. Utilitarianism, championed by philosophers like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, evaluates actions based on their consequences. In the context of the trolley problem, a utilitarian would likely argue that diverting the trolley to save 5 lives at the cost of 1 is the morally correct choice because it maximizes overall happiness and minimizes suffering. Deontology, deontological ethics, associated with Immanuel Kant, focuses on the morality of actions themselves rather than their outcomes. A deontologist might argue that pulling the lever to divert the trolley constitutes an act of killing, which is inherently wrong, regardless of the positive consequences. Therefore, they might conclude that it is morally impermissible to intervene. Virtue ethics, inspired by Aristotle, emphasizes the character and virtues of the moral agent. From this perspective, the decision in the trolley problem would depend on what a virtuous person, exemplifying traits like courage, compassion, and wisdom, would do in such a situation. The focus is on moral character rather than rigid rules or outcomes. The doctrine of double effect. This principle, rooted in Thomistic ethics, suggests that it is morally acceptable to perform an action that has both good and bad effects, if the bad effect is not intended and the good effect outweighs the bad. In the trolley problem, diverting the trolley might be seen as permissible because the intention is to save lives, not to kill. Contractarianism. This ethical theory, associated with philosophers like Thomas Hobbes and John Rawls, evaluates moral actions based on social contracts and agreements. In the trolley problem, a contractarian might consider what rational individuals would agree upon as fair and just in such a dilemma, potentially justifying the action that saves the most lives. 4. Variations of the trolley problem. The trolley problem has numerous variations that further complicate the moral landscape. The fat man scenario. As mentioned earlier, this variation involves pushing a large person off a bridge to stop the trolley and save 5 people. This version highlights the moral tension between direct physical intervention and the value of individual lives. The loop track. In this scenario, the trolley can be diverted onto a loop track where one person is tied, but this person is large enough to stop the trolley from looping back and killing the 5 people. This variation tests whether the presence of an additional causal loop affects moral judgments. The transplant scenario. This variation involves a doctor who can save 5 patients in need of organ transplants by sacrificing 1 healthy person. It examines whether our moral intuitions about the value of life and bodily autonomy differ in medical contexts compared to the trolley scenario. The switch and footbridge variations. These scenarios explore different methods of diverting the trolley, such as using a switch or a footbridge, to analyze how the mode of intervention influences moral judgments. Each variation of the trolley problem provides a unique lens through which to examine ethical principles and moral intuitions, revealing the complexities of moral decision-making. 5. Psychological and neuroscientific perspectives. Psychologists and neuroscientists have studied the trolley problem to understand how people make moral decisions. Research using functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, has shown that different parts of the brain are activated when people consider the trolley problem, suggesting that both emotional and rational processes play roles in moral judgment. For instance, the amygdala, associated with emotional responses, is more active in personal dilemmas like the fat man scenario, while the prefrontal cortex, linked to rational thinking, is more engaged in impersonal dilemmas like the standard trolley problem. These findings indicate that our moral decisions are influenced by a complex interplay of cognitive and emotional factors. Yes, real-world applications and implications. The trolley problem is not just a theoretical exercise. It has real-world applications in areas like medical ethics, public policy, and autonomous technology. For example, in medical ethics, doctors and policymakers grapple with decisions about resource allocation and life-saving treatments that mirror the dilemmas presented by the trolley problem. In the realm of autonomous vehicles, engineers and ethicists must design algorithms to navigate scenarios where harm is unavoidable, raising questions about how machines should make moral decisions. By examining the trolley problem, we can gain insights into the ethical principles that guide our decision-making in complex and high-stakes situations, highlighting the importance of thoughtful and principled approaches to moral dilemmas. Conclusion. The trolley problem is a powerful tool for exploring the complexities of moral philosophy and ethical decision-making. By examining various ethical theories, psychological perspectives, and real-world applications, we can better understand the nuances of moral dilemmas and the principles that guide our actions. Whether you're navigating everyday ethical choices or grappling with profound moral questions, the trolley problem offers valuable insights into the nature of morality and the challenges of making principled decisions. Join us as we continue to explore the rich and thought-provoking world of moral philosophy, uncovering the deep questions that shape our ethical landscape.